probably 3.5, 4 million lights in.
All right, guys. So we're out here at the Toledo Casino. We got Patrick Walker, and look, you know how much I hate net lighting, and I walked up here on these bushes. No, it's basket weave. Look at that, perfect outline on these bushes.
Cedars stuff.
Look how cool that is.
From here, it looks amazing.
But there's not a single spot on all of these. This isn't gonna fall down ever. All the way down there.
Because it's all tight on the
bottom. It's tucked in underneath.
Look at
tied in. It's pretty awesome. So all of this is going to be. Oh wow, yeah. Even I wonder if I can reverse the camera here. But even all these bushes, it's all basket weave, all the way underneath. Even the little small ones, everything's wrapped. Like this is not coming loose. It's all the coaxial twist lock connection. So all this is on generator. Wow, check that guy out. So if you're just wrapping individual branches or something like that, there'd be bare spots. Now all of that is going to look good. He locks it in every so often so it won't come loose, but like that is not going anywhere.
3 million lights.
3 million lights. Wow.
Just in this area.
Wow. Let's walk over here where Patrick is. So we'll do a full walkthrough of the whole thing. Did you install this power here? Or what's
I put that in. So that's what I was walking around to show these guys.
Okay.
So these are 50 amp 240 volt circuits. So we'll come out of here with 6 gauge 50 amp 6 gauge cords and run them to spider boxes, and that becomes the power distribution. There's probably 25 50 amp plugs and a generator that runs the 3.5 4 million lights in this amphitheater part alone.
When do you come back and run the
November?
In November.
And this is so people don't steal them.
Okay.
Theft is a big deal up here. We've had them steal the spider boxes. We've had them steal the heavy gauge extension cords. And we come back, run the cords, staple them all to the ground.
Because it's 6 gauge, right? So that's worth some money.
Yeah. No, there's a couple $100,000 just in spider boxes and spider box cords up here. So we'll come back and we'll staple all the jumpers down to the ground too. And then once the lights are on, they're on. We don't ever turn them off. There's no timers, no nothing. And that at 2 in the morning when the meth heads are out here, it's so bright it keeps them away. And the casino does some extra security patrols around, and they'll have people walking through here. And when the lights are on, it's usually busy till midnight or so.
Yeah.
And then by 1 o'clock, everybody's funneled out of here.
Very cool.
So yeah,
very cool.
Let's walk through here and show you guys what else we do. All the ends are capped, obviously. So if you're walking around, if the end's in a bush and they don't plan on daisy chaining it, it'll be capped. Or basket weaving, as you can see.
So on this right here, this is 8. That's 12 to 15 foot tall.
15 foot tall.
Okay.
Those are 15 foot light bollards. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on this right here, are you using orchard ladders? What's the process for? You got one person on one side, one person on the other,
or 4 or 5 guys that were working on this. My guess, I wasn't here the day they did this, but probably a lift was in here to go over the top. So you'd be a guy on the bottom weaving it, tossing it up to the guy in the lift, and then the guy in the lift is tossing it down to the guy on the other side. So there was probably 4 or 5 guys working on this, and we'll see them doing some of this up in the front when we get up there because they're working till 5. So we'll walk up.
Do you have night crews working right now, or is that necessary? Or
right now, some of our projects we have night crews. Some of our projects we have to do road closures where we're permitted to do them at night. So that's when we'll have night crews. But here is 7 in the morning to 5 or 6 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Are the hours they work here.
Will you get any weather delays or anything like that where you will have to put in extra hours, or you just
rain, snow, or shine? We are working. The only thing we'll do is if it snows, the lifts don't move very well in the snow. And so some days it's just better off to call it if we get 4 or 5 inches of snow here, which happens in November sometimes.
So this whole thing is a twist lock connection.
Yep. Everything here is 100% coaxial, non-rectified coaxial.
So non-rectified, for those who don't know, right?
Yep.
This is all S4?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what we're seeing here, these are the rectified power supplies. If you look at the light strands, if you imagine this being your regular Edison plug, you have your rectifier on each side of it.
That little peanut looking
The
thing.
little peanut looking thing. Basically, these lights, there's no rectifier because it's built in to this power supply. The nice part about this is these light strands don't fail. Worst case, we'll have a rectifier power supply fail, and it's just a matter of changing it out.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, like right here, you run your power first, right? So I'm saying this going up the tree.
So they'll figure out, the guys will come look at it. Our rule of thumb is no more than 80 strands per power supply.
Okay.
Because we found that even though the book says 100 or so, they get hot, they melt, and they seem to fail faster. So we're like 80 strands per power supply. They'll look at the trees, figure out, you know, you can see they've pretty much got a 7-way at every main fork. You look up there, look right there, and each one of those 7 ways is running off a power supply. So that gives you an idea how many strands are actually in this tree. They're probably.
And what's cool is, unless you're right here, you don't see that.
No, you don't see it.
There's no wires. Oh my gosh, even this broken branch right here is wrapped all the way to the tip. Holy cow. Patrick, anything bigger than a thumb, right?
Every branch.
Holy cow. Even the broken branches are wrapped. And the 2-foot broken off branch is wrapped to the tip. That is, oh man, how many times do you have to beat up somebody to get them to do that? Holy cow.
Do what?
Like that level of standard. Like how do you get that?
It's not done until even dead branches are wrapped up there because it's not done until every branch is wrapped, and then it's done.
Yeah.
And then this is the blue spruce, Colorado blue spruce. These are all C7 trees.
And so this is like what I tell people, you can do the canopy wrap where you just lay them over the top, but it looks a lot better when you go back in the branch a few feet.
You have to give the tree some depth, and you only give it depth by going inside of it. That's how you make it look fuller, 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, whatever you want to call it. If you just swirl them around it with a pole, it looks like you just swirled around them with a pole. This looks more like a postcard Christmas tree.
Yeah, so this is the tip is right here, and we're going in 4 or 5 feet. It's not like, I mean, you're not going all the way in. You're not fighting the branches. This is a blue spruce, right?
Yep. Okay. It's pokey. You don't want.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's going to beat you up. This is such a beautiful tree up here. Good shape to it. But you go in 4 or 5 feet, and then how do you determine what colors? You just do one color per tree,
that is the tribe's only thing is they don't want it to look the same as it did the year before.
Okay.
So the first year we did this 3 years ago, all of these C7s were in a multicolor pattern.
Okay.
And then they said, well, we don't want it to be multicolor anymore. How can we fix that? And they said, well, we can unscrew every bulb and make them all solid color strands. So we unscrewed 200,000 C7 bulbs and sorted them in garbage cans and made them all solid color strands.
Very cool.
And so then that was last year. And so then this year, the only rule of thumb was don't do anything the same color as it was the year before. So then Juan, my foreman, is walking around staring at his phone going, well, that was blue, so we'll make that green this year. And that was purple, so we'll make that pink. And
so as long as you keep them happy, you don't need to run every decision by them.
Nope.
It's not micromanaged. It's just meeting expectations.
Meeting expectations.
Okay, so Freeland just said he seems so much nicer in person. Now, why? You're a nice guy. I mean, look, and we got brand new people here. Some never hung lights, right? Some you've been around Patrick for a few years. Here's what I want to say about Patrick. He's not mean. He just has high standards, right? Like
I have a low threshold for stupidity that is limited by your ability to have common sense.
Or laziness, where you don't go and you put in a little bit of work yourself, right?
Go learn, go fail.
Yeah.
I started doing this before there were training classes and coaches and everybody else, and I failed miserably. Yeah. And that's how I've become good at it, is by failing miserably. So go fail miserably. It's the best teacher.
Yeah. Andy knows he's on camera. Look, I mean, you don't get this level by not being able to communicate with a team. You don't have, how many guys you got working for you?
25 guys on this project.
So 25 guys on this project. You don't get that by being an asshole. You get that by having standards and holding a high standard and being a good leader.
And
so
your leaders within your crew have to be accountable too. And
say that again?
Your leaders in your crew have to be accountable as well. Juan has no problem firing anybody here. If they're dragging ass, if they're not keeping up, if they're on their phone, if they're fucking off, they're done.
Yep.
And we don't have any problem with that because there's always somebody else that wants the job.
What's going on here? Are these little cypress or what's that on the ground here?
This is
Or not cypress.
no, this is Kinnickinnick is this ground cover.
Okay, we don't have this.
No, you don't have that. So this is Kinnickinnick, and the ground covers are done here.
You didn't do them last year,
Yeah,
right?
they work.
You did?
Yeah. Ground covers are done.
Wow.
Every tree, every shrub.
Every tree, every shrub. Look at that. Look at that. Even these little guys.
Even the little guys.
One strand of lights right there.
Yeah.
Wow. Vitali said, "Hey, you missed one."
Those don't count.
Oh man. Hey guys, what questions do y'all have for Patrick Walker? I mean, you don't often get to, have carte blanche to ask questions to a $6 million installer, right? How many lights are out of this project total this year?
There will be pushing 10 million lights just on this project this year.
So 10 million lights on one project.
On one project.
How intimidating would that be for you, your first 5 years in business, 10 years in business? How long does it take to develop that skill set of being able to manage the knowledge, for the power and the lifts and the this and the that? Like, what do you think?
I'm fortunate that I came from a construction family. My dad was a landscape contractor, so I kind of understood manpower from when I was an indentured servant at 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be scared. I would not be as scared with LED.
Okay.
Versus incandescent. So if I would have had to do this 20 years ago when I started, and this would have had to been incandescent, I don't even know how you could have done it.
Yeah.
First off. But yeah, I would have been intimidated by it. Mainly financially, I wouldn't have been able to do it. That would have been the scariest part.
Right.
Is how do I pay 25 guys? How do I pay for the lifts? How do I?
Because you got to float all that to some extent.
I'm floating all of this right now. Truth be told, I do not have a deposit check from this job yet.
Yeah.
And just the deposit check is $1.5 million, and I don't have it. Yeah. We get it Thursday. So yeah, I floated 4.5 weeks of payroll here, lifts, fuel. I mean, I'm $750,000 into this job right now out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So big risk, big reward.
Yeah.
What type of trees are these guys right here? These are what I call naked trees, right? Or deciduous, right?
There's some kind of crabapple tree, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, they're wrapped. So what'll happen is the leaves will eventually fall out of them.
Okay.
The wind will blow, and they'll be 90% naked by November.
90% naked by November.
Yep. And then the rest of the leaves that are trapped in the lights will come out when the lights come down. They'll deteriorate, and then they'll fall out when the lights come off the trees.
How are all the little shrub lights connected to a powered source? So on the ground, there's what we call spider boxes, right?
There'll be spider boxes and then a network of 12, 14, and 16 gauge regular extension cords. So the guy's spider box has 6 20-amp circuits in it, 1 10-volt 20-amp circuits in it. So the guys will come out with a 12-gauge cord to the first tree, and then they'll break down to 16 gauge from there and distribute to the rest of them. Everybody knows their load calculations in their head, and Juan and Domingo are in charge of hooking everything up because they know all their amperage calculations better than anybody.
So all the installers should know the rules of thumb, and then you have the...
Yeah, their rule of thumb that they have to hit is no more than 80 mini strands on a power supply.
On a rectifier, yeah.
On a rectified power supply. And then the C7 strands are 500 feet long, so 500 bulbs.
Oh, that's way under.
Yeah, we make all those back at storage containers where we store everything. And so the guys, they're really good about counting out 500 bulbs. And when they're done with the bulbs, they cut it, put a plug on it, terminate the other end of it, coil it in a garbage can, and then finish off the spool. And we store 1,500 feet of C7 in a spool or in a garbage can. And they know that they're allowed to put 1,500 bulbs or 3 500-foot strands on an extension cord that's going up into the tree.
16 gauge?
16 gauge cord,
16 gauge
so you're pulling about 10 amps right there.
Pulling about 10 amps. There you go. So new construction over here.
Yeah, they're adding on to the casino here, so this will just be more lights and more landscaping in a couple of years.
More lights and more landscaping. Very cool. Very cool.
Patrick, how many strands of mini lights?
Divide 10 million by 70.
When is the meet? I think I heard December. So Stanley, I need to get with Tyler, and we're gonna pick a date. It's looking like it's gonna be a Monday, Tuesday, right, Patrick? Or
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday is the least busy at the hotel here. The casino has quite a few banquet rooms in it, and a lot of Seattle companies do their Christmas parties here. So December, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday gets pretty busy, and the hotel's pretty much booked out with all the people that stay.
Yeah. So we'll pick probably the second Monday, Tuesday in the month. That way, maybe, you know, we don't want to get a little bit of time before Christmas, a little bit of time for people to finish off installs. And it's like, look, make it out here. It's worth it. It's not a paid thing. We're just going to be like, hey, come hang out. It's going to be a meetup. So I will double confirm that with Tyler.
I will buy dinner. There it is.
There's 100.
Look, CLC and Patrick will buy
There we
dinner.
go.
We're not going to put this on all on him.
CLC,
We can't make you come out here, work, and teach everybody. And
CLC and P. Walker Inc. will buy dinner for everybody that shows up.
there we go. So everybody that comes out, you getting dinner. Look, that's going to motivate me to buy a plane ticket right there. I can eat some food. Look, you're buying your own booze, though. We're not doing booze.
No,
All right.
there's 150,000 strands of mini lights.
150,000 strands. Very cool.
All right.
Very cool. You just made that up off the top of your head?
No, I
Okay.
did the math.
10 million divided by 70.
There you go.
10 million.
Um,
lights.
So they're saying earlier the better. Wife is due in December. Look, I told y'all, quit making babies around Valentine's Day. I made that mistake last year. You didn't learn from me.
Babies at work time.
Yeah. You got to tell the wife to time that better.
Here's the.
How did you transition from houses to trees, or did you just jump into just trees full time?
I always did trees at the houses that we did, but it was the trees that stood out, which is what drew people's attention. So in theory, that's how we did it, was doing trees.
So we're going to be over here by some of the lifts and the fountains and stuff. It might get a little loud. Let me know if y'all can still hear me, or if we need to do something a little different. Oh gosh.
There's the orchard ladders.
Okay, so we got orchard ladders. Okay, you guys don't care if I walk in there, right?
you're
Okay,
fine.
okay. Yeah. How useful is having a C10 license or electrical knowledge on a job like this? One of much smaller trees. David, you could get by, but just having general knowledge, right? But to have electrical knowledge on a big project where there's millions of bulbs, yeah, you got to have good knowledge. And so we got a guy out here in the lift, right? So he has this. What size lift is this right
This is
here?
a 40-foot Genie straight boom. So there's a mix of 40s, 45s, 60s, and some articulating 45s. There's 10 lifts on site here right now.
Okay.
10 lifts, 25 guys.
10 lifts, 25 guys. Very cool.
Count them.
Very cool.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
There might be a couple napping somewhere too. I don't
So you're using little generators to install with all the lights on, so
Yeah.
you can just make sure.
So this is the area that we convert the 3-phase 480 to 110, 220. We're setting the transformer skids on Thursday. The crane will be here. We'll crane all the transformers into place, and then we'll have power. So for these guys, there's 4 or 5 suitcase generators out here, so they can plug in and check what they're doing as they're going.
Okay.
Yep.
And you're going to run those generators 12 hours a day, 8 hours a day?
Oh, the big ones, when we put the big generators in that power a lot of this display, they run from 3:30 in the afternoon till 8:30 in the morning.
Okay.
These are just for testing so they can test their trees.
Now, when you guys go and do these trees and the shrubs,
Yep.
what's the work process? Are you running through doing shrubs first? Sorry. And then coming back new trees? Like, what's the workflow in this area? Because we have shrubs, we got hedgerow and trees.
My number one priority is keeping the lifts moving at any cost because I'm paying every day for them.
So they need to get lift work done as
The
soon as
lift
possible.
work is what
Yeah, or
we're
keep
on
it going.
top of, and keep it going and keep the lifts moving in the job site. the shrub work we can do anytime because it's guys on the ground and maybe some orchard ladders. So my priority is the lifts moving from 7 in the morning till 5 at night.
And I see that you take safety as a very high priority. Everybody's harnessed in and good stuff. So everything's compliant out here, which is, you know, very tough to do when you got this many guys moving. But, you know, looking out here, make sure everybody's tied in on the lifts.
And they're all here right now.
So what size orchard ladder is this right here? Well, what is an orchard ladder?
An orchard ladder is the only tool you need for Christmas lights. It's a 3-legged aluminum ladder. We have them in 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 16-foot lengths. You can see we have them in the pond. We have them everywhere. Guys got hip waders on so we can work on the water side of the pond. These ponds are all concrete floor, so we're not hurting them with the ladders. We're not puncturing a membrane or a liner. Yeah. So
very cool.
Yeah.
So the 3-legged ladder, wide at the base, pole on the other side. That way, if the ground's uneven, you only got 3 points of contact. And you can stand them right up against or you can spread it out.
10 lifts on site right now.
Yeah, 10 lifts on site. You know, even the big guys use trash cans, okay? Like Fred and I talk about trash cans. Even the big installers use trash cans on job sites to move around these lights. So we got it in the water so that we can get up there and get to it.
Work on the water side.
What is the biggest lift that you will have out here? How do you get out there in the center?
We'll have an 85 here for about a week to touch the tops of some of these, and we bring a 135 in to get the cedar trees over in the corner.
These right here?
No, back around the portico. They're over behind that other waterfall.
Oh, we got some trees already tipped out over there. Very cool.
So we'll bring in a 135 footer to reach those, and it's not height. It's length.
Reach.
It's reach.
It's reach.
Yep.
Very cool. I'll walk over here while we're over here.
It's just starting on this area here.
Yeah. All right, so here's good. Here's probably we'll get Patrick Walker over here in a second. But so Patrick, over here, when you guys working on a lift, he's picking. I see right here we got one side of the tree. We're starting down below, working our way out, and then we're trying to do everything that lift can get to before we move. Or what's workflow like?
Workflow on this is we have a lane closed, so we have this whole lane right now. We have it coned off. He's trying this one. They just started, obviously. So a lot of these lights that you're seeing wrapped are to hold the power cords up that are going to the next level.
Okay.
So they'll put it where they want it and then wrap their main trunk down, and then they'll start working. I mean, the least amount of lift moves, the better, right? Because you're wasting time when you're pulled away from the tree and the lift is moving. So he'll get everything he can. Basket sideways, kind of sneak into the branches. That allows you to sneak in and out of the branches a little bit easier instead of broad face to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll just move his stick in and come down and work his way to the bottom.
Work his way to the bottom. Let's see. We got any other questions there? No booze, never mind. I'll stay home. No, there's plenty of booze. You just got to pay for your own.
If you have a branch out.
So, Caitlin, we're going to do the meetup. I know you said that I can't come up into Indiana this year, but everybody's going out to Washington. You and Fred got to come out to Washington.
We are relentless on the maintenance side of it.
All right, where do you start with quoting with something this involved? Knowledge, right? You got to
have the knowledge.
You got to break it all down. This bush takes this many.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you how many sets of lights are on each one of these trees and how long it takes to do them by looking at them.
So you always say that. How much do you charge? Well, what's your material?
Yep.
What do you say?
I say, what's your cost of material, your cost of labor, your overhead, and a profit you want to make? And that's what it costs. There's no magic science to it. It's at the end of the day, this particular customer is paying for a result. The cost doesn't matter. How we get from point A to point B is irrelevant. They're paying for the result. The hardest part is being able to sell that result the first time. And if you follow through and do what you said you were going to do, and they see the result and they're happy with it, money is not an object.
Nope. Oh, you got to be nice. Caitlin's making fun of you. Does Patrick lease the lights? Just kidding.
Nope.
So you can't be mean to Caitlin.
Caitlin, I don't want to own any of this.
I don't want to.
I don't.
So that's a good point. Your trucks, your lights, your lifts.
Broke down piece of crap Fords. Those are my trucks because they're motorized.
You got an old Bessie as well. Look, I got an old Bessie.
Yeah, there's 2 old Bessies up here.
So one right there, one right there. Now, all the other vehicles, you rent them from landscaping companies,
rent them
right?
from the other companies that we rent employees from, yeah. I own 6 trucks, and I think there's 8 or 9 out running around. So,
yeah.
But these things are only on the road 3 months a year.
What's your opinion on buying a lift?
Never.
Why?
Well, to give you an example here, these lifts have been here 3 weeks. They're from United Rentals, which is supposedly a reputable company that is up on maintenance. We've broke 4 of them, and the mechanic's been here almost every day since August.
And every time you're working on something diesel, that's either $5,000 or $10,000 if it has a diesel.
Yeah, I don't want to own these things. I'd rather lease them. It's a great write-off at the end of the year, and I don't want to outlay the money. They're $100,000 machines.
Yeah.
10 of them here, plus another miscellaneous 15 on other projects.
And 5, 10, 20 grand a year and just in maintenance.
Yeah, certifications on them, everything.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just buy fuel.
Just buy fuel. There we go.
Yep.
Very cool, guys. Well, if you got any other questions for Patrick Walker, shoot them to me. We're going to be hanging out here for a while. We're going to eat dinner. We'll come back. Maybe we'll do another live, or maybe I'll just post some photos in the group. But Patrick, you coming back to lighting launch this year?
Yep, I'll be there.
All right, very cool. So lighting launch in February, March timeframe. Once everything's done, we're going to do a meetup in December. And yeah, you know, Patrick is a great guy. He just has high standards. That's why I've always told everybody, if you got any questions, put them in the comments, shoot them to me. Like I said, we might